You ever walk past a building and feel like it's watching you, like it knows your name, before you've even been inside? This story comes from Damon Ricks, 34, an urban explorer based in Detroit. He's explored abandoned schools, asylums, malls, nothing scared him. Until he found building number 347. Except, there's no record of a building number 347 in Detroit City grid. No blueprints, no Google Maps pin. Locals didn't even acknowledge it existed. But Damon, he passed it every Thursday for months, and one day the front door was open. He went in. The moment the door closed behind him, a hush fell over everything, as if the building itself was holding its breath. The layout was strange, honestly. It was the kind of place that made you question your own sense of direction. No windows anywhere, just endless white hallways stretching on, each one identical to the last, making it impossible to tell if you were moving forward or just walking in circles. The fluorescent lights overhead buzzed faintly, casting a cold, sterile glow that seemed to flatten every shadow and erase any sense of time. Every room he passed was furnished, but, well, everything was just a little off. The couches and chairs were perfectly arranged, but the cushions were stiff, untouched, as if no one had ever sat there. TVs sat in every room, but no matter how many times he pressed the power button, the screens remained stubbornly black, reflecting only his own uneasy face. Phones rested on side tables, but when he picked one up, he noticed the keypad had 13 digits instead of 12, and the dial tone was a low, unsettling hum. Books lined the shelves, their spines neat and uniform, but when he opened them, he found only page after page filled with names, no stories, no explanations, just endless lists. It was as if the building had been designed by someone who had only heard about homes and offices in passing, someone who tried to recreate them from memory but missed all the details that made them feel real. As he wandered deeper, the sense of unease grew. The air felt heavy, thick with the weight of silence, and the faint lingering scent of antiseptic. Every footstep echoed, bouncing off the walls and disappearing into the maze of corridors. He couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched, that the building itself was studying him, waiting to see what he would do next. He took a photo of the front lobby, but when he checked his phone, the image showed a completely different building. It wasn't the same room, or the same furniture, or even the same lighting. And standing in the center was him, looking back at the camera. Damon tried to leave, but the door was gone. It was replaced with this wall of mirrors. He screamed, ran down hallway after hallway. Every turn led him back to the same room, same desk, same clock, stuck at 4:17 p.m. Eventually, he passed out. Woke up on the street outside. No memory of how he got out. But the weird part? It was still Thursday. He checked the photos again. All of them were just blank gray squares. Except one, titled inside_view.jpg. He couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. The last thing he remembered was being at the party, the loud music, the flashing lights, and then nothing. It was as if his memory had been wiped clean. He tried to piece together the events of the night, but it was like trying to assemble a puzzle with missing pieces. The photo titled inside_view.jpg was the only clue he had. He opened it, hoping it would jog his memory. The image was blurry, almost as if it had been taken in a hurry. It showed a dimly lit room with a single window. Through the window, he could see the faint outline of a building he didn't recognize. He decided to retrace his steps, starting with the party. He asked his friends if they remembered anything unusual, but no one seemed to have seen him leave. It was as if he had vanished into thin air. The more he thought about it, the more he felt like he was being watched. Days turned into weeks, and he couldn't shake the feeling of unease. The photo remained a mystery, and his memory of that night never returned. He started to notice strange things happening around him, objects moving on their own, shadows that seemed to follow him. It was as if the photo had opened a door to something he couldn't understand. He knew he had to find out what happened that night, but the more he searched for answers, the more questions he uncovered. The photo titled inside_view.jpg was just the beginning of a mystery that would change his life forever. It showed a journal, on a desk. He didn't remember seeing it inside. Zooming in, it had writing. "There are 6 of you now, 1 escapes, 1 forgets, 4 repeat." That night, Damon started having looping dreams. Same building, same hallway. Sometimes he'd find another version of himself, muttering things like, "You're not the first Damon in here. Did you see the clock? It's always 4:17. He posted about it in a private urban explorer group. 3 people replied, "I've seen that place. Never again. My cousin disappeared near 8 Mile. Last photo he sent was inside that same hallway. Don't ever look in the mirrors." So he went back one final time. This wasn't a decision Damon made lightly. He'd spent weeks debating it, replaying every strange detail in his mind. But the pull of the unknown was too strong to resist. He needed answers, closure, or maybe just proof that what he'd experienced wasn't all in his head. This time he came prepared. He brought a GoPro, determined to document every second, and a GPS tracker, hoping to map his route and maybe, just maybe, find a rational explanation for the things that had happened before. As he stood outside the abandoned building at dusk, the air felt heavier than usual, thick with anticipation, and a hint of dread. Damon's hands trembled slightly as he checked his equipment, double and triple checking the batteries, making sure the GoPro was recording and the GPS was tracking his location. He took a deep breath, steeling himself, and stepped toward the entrance. The moment he crossed the threshold, something changed. The GPS, which had been blinking steadily in his hand, suddenly went dark. No warning, no error message, just a blank screen. Damon frowned, tapping the device, but it was useless. He tried not to let it shake him. He pressed on, the GoPro's red light blinking reassuringly as he moved deeper into the building. Inside, the silence was almost suffocating. Every footstep echoed off the crumbling walls, and the beam of his flashlight revealed only dust, debris, and the ghosts of memories. Damon narrated quietly to the camera, describing what he saw, what he felt, trying to keep his nerves in check. The GoPro captured it all. The empty hallways, the peeling wallpaper, the strange sense that he was being watched. 47 minutes passed. Damon explored every corner, retracing his steps from previous visits, searching for anything out of the ordinary. Then, as he entered a room with a cracked, dust-covered mirror, something strange happened. The GoPro footage, which had been smooth and steady, began to glitch. The image flickered, colors distorted, and then, suddenly, it froze. The final frame was chilling, Damon standing in front of the mirror, his reflection smiling back at him. But there was something off. Damon wasn't blinking, he wasn't moving, just that fixed, unsettling smile, as if he'd become part of the building itself. And that's where the footage ended. No explanation, no resolution, just a lingering sense of unease that would haunt anyone who watched it. His phone kept pinging his location, for 4 more days. All from the same spot, a building that doesn't show up on any satellite image, just gray static. He was declared missing last month. But last week, someone posted anonymously to his page, just a photo, of a desk, a clock reading 4:17, and a journal with new writing. There are 7 of you now. Don't go into places that aren't on the map. They're not lost, they're waiting. As the last echo of that whisper fades, a different voice emerges, older, careful, as if reading from a letter forgotten in a dusty drawer. It is the voice of a map maker. Not the kind who charts highways and rivers, but the kind who sketches the boundaries between what is seen and what is hidden. He speaks softly. Every map is a promise and a warning. The roads you travel are not the only ones that exist. There are paths that vanish when you turn your head, buildings that appear only when you forget to look for them. These are not mistakes in the drawing. They are secrets, tucked away in the folds of the world, waiting for a curious step or a stray glance. If you find yourself somewhere that shouldn't be, remember, you are now part of the story that keeps the maps incomplete. Walk lightly, for the ground beneath you is drawn in pencil. And if you ever return, don't expect the world to be exactly as you left it. The voice fades, replaced by the faint scratching of a pencil on paper, drawing, erasing, redrawing. The map is never finished.